Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can find us syndicated on television. That's Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. Also, you can find us on all the social media sites. We appreciate you listening that way, and continue sending emails, by the way. Donna at donnasedge.com. A couple of you have said, well, we don't want to bother you. Believe me, you are not bothering me. I love hearing from you. It makes my day. Donna at donnasedge.com. Okay, everybody's favorite guest. I've got Silk with me right now. Diamond and Silk. Silk, thank you for being on the show with me.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Donna. Thank you.
Well, we all love you, and our guests love you as well. And they really believe in you and what you stand for. And there are a few folks, a little challenging, that's part of the world. That's how it goes. And but they're beginning to see the light. But I wanted to ask you your stance on this. And I'm noticing a difference in the young people.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that? In my neck of the woods here in South Carolina, I'm going to tell you, the young people love President Trump.
They love President Trump because President Trump is about that money, baby. All right. And he's about that wealth. He's about having prosperity. Okay. And they can see it. They can see it in their parents because their parents, they grew up. Okay. They got a job. They was able to move out of their parents' home. They was able to establish something. But it became a point in our country where people, the younger children, it's like they were unable to make it. They didn't have no jobs, no after school jobs. Remember the after school jobs, they didn't have that. Everything was just pretty much gone. And a lot of the younger people found themselves living in the basement of their parents' home or in the attic of their parents' home, unable to make it successfully on their own. So under President Trump, they realized, wait a minute, we have more money in our pockets. This year is about bringing back success for Americans, not illegal aliens. And as long as people continue to look at shows like yours and mine and the underground alternative media, they are seeing the truth. They're seeing the truth for themselves instead of sitting there being indoctrinated by corporate media.
Yeah, and something, numbers don't lie. So I saw this as really interesting how the border encounters in June are the lowest ever in American history. What about that?
Well, what that shows is that Jim Crow Joe Biden, his regime, Kamala Harris was a liar. They're straight up liars. Okay, they claim to need all of this congressional legislation and different things in order to close the border. President Trump proved that was also a lie. All you needed to do was just close the doggone borders and stop illegal aliens from coming into our country. That's all. Joe Biden, he undid what President Trump had already done. Okay. When Joe Biden first got in, that was one of the first executive orders that he did was open the borders. Okay. All Joe Biden had to do was do another executive order to close the border. But he refused to do that. Why? Well, we all know why now. They need more votes. They need more bodies. That's what it was all about. They need those bodies to count in the census so that they can try to gain extra seats in the House. We all know what the hoop lie was all about. But to have the lowest amount of people coming over here, they realize that President Trump is for American peoples, not for illegal aliens. You don't get no free ride here in America. If we, as American citizens, can't get no free ride, people that don't belong in our country can't get no free ride either, not under President Donald J. Trump.
Well, let me tell you something else, too, I discovered. Okay, so, I told you about living in Alabama. We moved to South Carolina. I'm glad to be back in Carolinas again. We're almost neighbors, by the way. We're pretty close with each other.
Yeah.
So, I did want to mention this. So the town close to where I was living is Albertville, Alabama. And it's to a point where I feel like first of all, the governor had to know this was happening. Okay, so Haitians were coming in by the bus loads. And they were just taking over the whole town. And I'm not afraid of people, but I was actually afraid of these folks. I mean, I didn't like shopping. I just didn't go anywhere, ordered everything online. It was just safer to do that. Well, Albertville, Alabama has been put on the list of one of the most dangerous cities to live in America. You know why? Because crime is just running rampant there. And you can't tell me the mayor and the city council members didn't know this.
Oh,
Now,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Donna, I am pretty sure that a lot of these different mayors, the governors, is this a Democrat governor or a Republican governor?
Well, she was a Democrat. I still think she is. In
Okay.
recent years, she became a Republican because she knew it was popular to be a Republican.
Okay, all right. So here's the deal. I'm about to say it don't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. You know, they all one dirty bird with two corrupt wings. We don't know who's infiltrated what party and so forth. But a lot of times, this is how they get money, based off of the number of people that's in their district or in their cities or in their states. Okay. Now, those Haitians had to be flown in or driven in some kind of way. They got there to Albertville, Alabama. All right. And when it comes down to our welfare systems, our Medicaid or Medicare systems, those individuals, I'm pretty sure, was put on those systems. They had to be able to eat. They had to be able to live. Okay. The housing and so forth. So the governor, the different political officials, I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% sure that they know, especially if you have a large volume of individuals that's Haitians there, and they're illegally or illegal aliens. Let me say it that way. Okay. Because what a lot of these governors and mayors did, they allowed it to happen. They invited those people in. Yes, especially when it came down to the location where they placed a lot of these people. They placed them in low income areas, all right, because they know that the individuals there that lived in a low income don't have enough money to fight back the government. They don't have enough money to just pick up and leave. So a lot of those individuals, including veterans, was kicked out of their home. Now, I don't know about Albertville, Alabama, but I do know a lot of different places where illegal aliens and Haitian illegal aliens were dropped off at. A lot of people were kicked out of their home to make and for room to be made for these illegal aliens to move in. Now, when the illegal aliens moved into these different places, the government, the governor or the mayor, those politicians got paid money for housing for those illegal aliens. All right. And what the politicians did is said, okay, to the landlord, we'll pay you X amount of dollars, which is probably 2 or 3 times more than the American citizen was paying. We'll pay you 2-3 times more to house these individuals and kick out American citizens. So a lot of these politicians, they were basically getting kickback from a lot of the money that was just being flooded in to their cities and to their states to house these illegal aliens. So your question to me, Donna, is do I believe these people know? Yes, they knew.
Yeah. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? I mean, anybody with any kind of walking around common sense knows this.
Yeah.
So another thing I found is a lot of these politicians are in real estate. Are you?
Yeah.
Common sense tells me they're double dipping. Not only did they make money in their towns and in their cities, they probably had the kicking grandmas and people out of houses so the Haitians could move in and they could make a double whammy.
It double backs to them. Exactly. And see, I keep hearing a lot of these Democrats and GOP Republicans, Grand Old Party Republicans, deep state Republicans, I keep hearing them talk about the deficit. This going to raise the deficit. But what I found out is that the waste, fraud, and abuse is what is raising the deficit. The corruption is what is raising the deficit. When they continue to take money and use it for their laundering scheme instead of for the will of the American people, that's money that's just gone. All right. And what happens when they print that money and that money is gone, is not allocated to the appropriate place or the appropriate program? That money is gone and the deficit is raised because somebody got to pay that money back. But who's holding these people accountable? All right. And that's what's been going on, Donna, These
Well,
people,
President Trump's holding them accountable, and that's why they hate him. That's why there's been so many attempts on his life, probably more than we even know about. We
it's
just know
more than
publicized.
it's more than what we know about. President Trump's team is holding these people accountable, but it's time for these people to be indicted. It's time for these people to get some handcuffs and be locked up for stealing Americans' wealth, for the way that they've stolen Americans' wealth, for lying about it. They need to be locked up. I don't care who they are. I don't care what politician. I don't care if the politician is Republican or Democrat or independent, whatever it is. They need to be locked up for stealing. Because if you or I, as an American citizen, if we would have been in any type of laundering scam and been caught by the FBI or the DOJ, we will be in jail today. All right? And these people need to go that.
And drops of water on the forehead. I mean, that's what they would do to me. I mean, you know, for me, but that's a double standard right there. I'm just telling. I wanted to ask you a question too about North Carolina, about Tom Tillis. What happened to Tom Tillis?
He's a fool. This is what I call a deep state snake Republicans. Okay. A lot of times what I am finding out is that a lot of these people get paid off. They get paid off the grandstand. Okay. And then what happens is after they're paid off, they retire. There's no sense of them working in a system no more. They got millions of dollars to go and retire just to grandstand against what the will of the people really truly wants. Okay. So
I don't think he thought he had a chance to be reelected because for one thing, what happened in Asheville, North Carolina, when the hurricane came through. I mean, and it's full of liberals there, but I think even they were turned against him.
Exactly. Yes, they were turned against him as well. I call him a trans Republican. He's really, truly a Democrat posing as a Republican. And you have a lot of that going on. People would do a lot of different things for the love of money. Okay. It's either money or he was threatened. It's one or the other. And you know, it's sad that we have that going on, but this is the corruption that our country has been enduring for decades upon decades upon decades. That's why you have them all out there hollering and upset about President Trump, because President Trump is uprooting their fraud. He's uprooting their corruption. I understand, and I'll be talking about it soon, how the DOJ, Trump administration officially terminates U.S. aid. All right. They're gone. No more money to the NGOs. Okay. They are upset about that because that was their gravy train. They don't like that. So they'll do whatever they can to stop President Trump from getting the win. For the American people getting a win, they'll do whatever they can to stop that. And Tom Tillis, he know ain't nobody voting for him. He know he's not going to win. But in my own humble opinion, he's already been paid off to go home and retire and be done with it.
He doesn't need to do a thing. Do you think Laura is going to run for his Senate seat? Laura Trump?
I'm understanding that it's a possibility. Okay, I'm understanding that there's a possibility that she will run. She will make a great individual to be in his place, a great replacement. We need someone with common sense. We need someone that is for President Trump. We need a MAGA, a real true MAGA supporter. And who's best? I mean, who's best? Laura Trump, right here in North Carolina. She would be amazing to take that spot.
I think she would too, and I know someone else who would. His name is Don Brown. He's an attorney from Charlotte, North Carolina. I've known him for a long time. He's a patriot. He has ticked off a whole lot of folks in the government. He is really into fair tax.
Okay.
And I love fair tax. I mean, how you can get rid of the IRS? They'd be gone. No more IRS.
Yeah.
There are so many things that can make that happen. I wish President Trump would listen to somebody about that. Although it kind of feels like he has little pieces of that going on right now, especially with Doge.
Right, exactly. Okay, so this is how I feel about it. All right. Sometimes you have to remove or stop. You have to stop the fraud in order to remove the fraud. Okay. Because it's one thing to just get rid of it, like uproot it and let it go. But sometimes you have to put a stop to it. And I think that we're in the early stages of the stop being put to the fraud. And then from that point on, you can remove the fraud totally. Okay. So
we're avid gardeners, and we know that if you pull a root out of your garden, like a weed out, you've got to get the whole root, because just one little tiny piece in there, it'll come right back up again.
But what happens in order to get to that root? You got to pull. Sometimes some of them pieces are going to break. All right. First, you got to identify it. Then you got to pull it. And sometimes, like I say, the weed may break, but you got to start digging. Dig all the way down till you get to the core, till you get to the root. And then you uproot it. Okay. And we're in the early stage of President Trump just basically pulling the roots. Sometime it break, because that's where the judges come in and say, oh, you got to rehire this one. No, you got to reestablish that. All right. Then we get the Supreme Court of Justice come in and say, no, President Trump have a right to do it. So he get to pull some more weeds up. He's just pulling some more weeds up. And now he gets the opportunity to go in and uproot that fraud. And that's what we see going on. At least
I think he's digging down to the tap root. I think he gets a big tap root. It's about like pulling a tree out, but it's working. I think it's working. But there's so many things. I know you had to be proud of him about 2 weeks ago. Like no casualties. How about this? No casualties. Okay, I mean, we had, and then when President Trump speaks with that group of men behind him, I have never felt safer as being a citizen of the United States as I was at that moment. And when he mentioned God, I thought he was going to tear up. He mentioned him twice.
Yeah.
He was sincere in that.
That's President Donald J. Trump. He loved God, and he allowed God to be number one. Yes. Especially when he's about to go do something like that. That's about being strategic, and it's about being prayerful before you do it. I want people to understand something about President Trump. If it's going to affect America, what he's going to do is go in and silence the threat. He's going to remove the threat. And that's what he did when it came down to Iran. He went in and removed the global threat of Iran having nuclear weapon or a nuclear site. And that's all that he did. Okay. A lot of people want to say, oh, he started a war. He started a war. No, he didn't have to start no war.
It already started. It was started like decades ago.
Yes. Yes. These people have been fighting back and forth for a very, very long time. But the one thing that President Trump said is, Iran, you can't have no nuclear weapon. You can't do that. And so that's why President Trump went in and he destroyed the threat, the global threat, the threat to America. Is what he went in and he did. Now he's like, okay, fellas, y'all figure this out. Y'all come to a ceasefire agreement is what y'all gonna have to do. And I believe that they've already come to that particular agreement, 60-day agreement or something like that. I do believe that they did that. But that's how President Trump is. He's prayerful and he goes in, Lord, let's guide us. And there was no casualties. There was no death. They went in and they did what they needed to do in the heat of the night. I understand that Congress, the Democrats especially, was so upset that President Trump didn't go and get any permission from them. Well, he didn't have to go get no permission from them. He wasn't starting a war. He was going in to get rid of the threat, the global threat to America and to many other different countries around the world. That's what he was doing.
Well, I mean, it's incredible we've had this going on to begin with. I mean, it's incredible. It's like, okay, Charlie Manson. Okay, Charlie Manson is just an evil creature. I mean, he's about like a Democrat there. But you remember when this has been a few years ago. So this young girl, became engaged to Charlie Manson. You remember that?
No.
And the mother was just so proud that her daughter was marrying Charlie Manson. I could just see me. I have a daughter, and she comes home and she says, "Mom, I'm engaged." And I go, "Who are you engaged to?" Charlie Manson. I would throw her under the bed.
Was Charlie Manson locked up?
Oh my God! He said every time they let him out of prison, or they give him a chance to speak, to be out, he keeps saying, "I do it again." He thinks he's Jesus Christ, like Jesus Christ would be like that. This guy's pure evil. I mean, this is the creeps.
I vaguely remember that. Vaguely
God, it was in the 1960s, and when it happened, and I mean, he just had a cult of people.
Yes.
Reminds me of a Democrat where they've got their cults of people who just walk around blindfolded and just do anything that he says to do.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Okay, so the Charlie Manson thing, it just reminded me of the Biden administration where Biden and Kamala were just like brainwashing people. They're still crying, by the way. They won't stop crying. We stop crying. Stop it. Now, I didn't cry when Biden came in, but I didn't. I went on with my life.
Right.
I had to make the best of things. I don't like the guy, but I'm going to make I didn't want to kill him. I would have loved to have maimed him a little bit. But what I mean is as far as like death threats and things like that, like people are doing for President Trump.
Right.
My whole point about this is how can people be that blindsided? You've got your sleeper cells in here. The sleeper cells, your Biden and all your Democrats and some Republicans love the sleeper cells, because I'll have to tell you, first thing I worried about when President Trump, our hero, did what he did was, well, it's got that part, but what about the sleeper cells? There are people all over the place that are just waiting on the word.
They're just waiting on the word. And who allowed these people to come into our country? It was did under Jim Crow Joe Biden. It was did under the Democrats. And that's why when I hear them hollering and screaming right now, I continuously remind these folks, you had 4 years. You had 4 years to do all of the different stuff you want to say President Trump should be doing. And you did not do it. So leave President Trump alone. But these sleeper cells, from my understanding, they're here. The FBI, the DOJ is working overtime to identify these people and get them out of our country. They're working overtime, but they're here. They're just like the Antifas and the Black Lives Matter people is what these individuals are. They are here. So everybody just, be aware of your surroundings.
Mm-hmm. That's all you can do. So I wanted to ask you another question. This pertains to we have so many idiotic things that happen in this country sometimes. Yes. Believe it, Okay, so because of the sleeper cells, I mean, should it be a shock to anyone? I mean, what are people amazed at? Well, it's Trump's fault. Well, no, it's not Trump's fault.
For the sleeper cells?
Yeah, I mean, they're doing that now. They're like, and then your stupid people in colleges, by the way, I'd take a kid going to a tech school any day over a liberal college. I would hire them any day because they have more common sense. But it's these college students, and not all of them. I think some are beginning to see the light now because they don't want to live in the basement anymore of the parents' house, like you mentioned earlier. But I mean, what's not to understand? If I were a Democrat, I would not be one anymore.
I agree. I totally agree with you. And a lot of people, they are realizing that the Democrat Party is not the way to go. But what I've found out is that they have used a lot of these different institutions, the classrooms, the colleges, even the prison systems. They've used a lot of these different institutions to infiltrate people, to say, okay, they're coming here from abroad, all right? They're coming here to study this. They're coming here to study that. And these different colleges, let's just talk about the colleges, they have allowed this. How much kickback was those colleges getting to allow these individuals to call themselves coming there to study, all right? Certain things. And that's another way that they have created what you call sleeper cells. They have taught them, trained them, and put them in certain strategic places so that when the person gives the word, they can act accordingly. So that's what's been going on as far as infiltrating our system. Now, they've gone from the college systems to our political systems. They are now mayors. They're now governors. They're secretaries of states. They're in Congress, and they're part of the Senate. But once again, this scam has been going on for decades upon decades upon decades. Mm-hmm. And when you go to clean up your attic that's been sitting up there with a lot of stuff just sitting up there for a very long time, and then after 2, 3, 4 decades of it just sitting there, when you go through it, there's going to be spiders, spider webs, probably some rat turds. It's going to be a lot of stuff there that you got to take and remove and clean out just to get to your junk to throw out. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's what's happened. You got to remember that a large percentage of citizens here in Americans were asleep when it came down to politics. A lot of them said it's rigged. I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm not going to get in it, including myself. I used to be a lifelong Democrat, and we did whatever the leaders, the head, said that we had to do. If they said voted for this one, that's what we did. If they said pull the lever for that one, that's what we did. All right. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people was not into politics until President Trump came down the escalators. And then we saw how this businessman came in and changed the game. And now people have awakened. They're still awakening to what has been going on in our country and why our country has been stagnated for such a long time. And then with Doge stepping in and we looking into all of these different, what they call government systems, mm-hmm. and realizing how money, millions and billions of dollars have been gone. It's just been thrown away. Okay. At least that's what they say, but it's basically been laundered back to a lot of these different people. It's been like a cartel. It's been one scam after the next. And unfortunately, we, the American people, have been getting the lower end of the stick. And
what it is that they're doing, the silk, is this. Okay, so you're running for Congress. Okay,
yeah.
And Joe Smith gives you $10 million to run for Congress. You feel like you owe Joe Smith something. Okay, so Joe Smith's going to benefit off of that $10 million he sent you. It's coming right back to Joe Smith, I think.
And that's why President Trump didn't want a lot of these the money from a lot of these elitists. Okay, that's why he didn't want a lot of the money from them. He used his own money, especially in the first term. Okay, and then he used small donors that gave small amounts. All right. But you're right. Somebody give you $10 million, you feel like, oh, I'm gonna owe them something. But a lot of times that's why they gave you the $10 million, because they want something from you. All right. That's why I think the FEC states not over $1,200. That's the minimum amount that one can give to your campaign. Mm-hmm. But somebody come in with 10 million, guess what? Yeah. You're going to owe them something. And you got to do that and do.
Soul is what you did. You just sold the soul for accepting it.
Exactly. See, I was thinking, I'm just thinking about this, how when my sister and I was in the corporate media, we was in the mainstream media, and how a lot of times the mainstream media, they wanted us to lie about this, lie about that, or sugarcoat that, or don't say this, or don't say that, when we were educating or doing a show or what have you. And we had to get away from that, because I refuse for you to pay me millions to lie to the people. I could not do it. Our morals and our values would not allow us to lie to the people. Mm-hmm. So it was the best thing getting out of the mainstream corporate media, because we refused to lie. We couldn't do it. I keep telling our people, I could be a very, very, very rich Black woman today, had I sat right there and lied to y'all. But I refuse to do it. My morals and values would not allow me to do it. So I'm fine being in the underground media, where I can actually tell the naked, nasty truth about anything that's going on. I'm not beholden to anybody but God. That's it.
That's the same here with me. I just didn't enjoy it. First of all, I'm not that type of person anyway, and you're not either.
Right.
I don't want some moron telling me what to think and what to say. And I have to tell you, the dumbest person, well, one of the dumbest people ever, was the chick. You remember the raceway in Talladega in Alabama, when a bunch of people were saying F Biden, F Biden, F Biden. And this race car driver's name was Brandon. Okay.
Yes.
So stupid little girl was interviewing him, and somebody apparently said in her earpiece, say that they're saying go Brandon.
Go Brandon. Yeah.
Okay, now, what would you have done, Silk? Had you been working for the man and you were interviewing somebody and you knew darn well what they were really saying out there? They were not saying go Brandon. What would you have done?
The average person that's getting paid millions would have said what she said. Okay. They would have said that. If not, they would have gotten fired. They would have gotten fired. And a lot of people do a lot of different things for money.
Yeah, but look how stupid she looked. I mean, because that was a dumb moment. And even the guy Brandon, even the race car Brandon was kind of looking like, no, I don't think that's what
that's not what they're saying.
That look on his face. So
it became the motto of "Let's Go Brandon," and everybody knew what "Let's Go Brandon" meant. Okay?
Even those Christians could say it. I mean, we wanted to say the other one. We wanted to say it, but let's go, Brandon.
Yes, I remember that.
You and I are from the South. When we say "bless their heart," you know what we really mean.
Bless your heart, yes. And if we say "bless your picking heart," you really know what that means.
We're going to have to go into a commercial break. I can't believe how fast 30 minutes goes. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody hang around.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas, or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. Or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.
We are back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters, even though it hurts sometimes. You have to say it. You got to live with yourself. And here's what I always notice about people that I've known who've been in the business world who've lied to get ahead. They always fail. Their kids hate them because they're liars. So apparently they're that way with their kids too. They normally are not married to the same person they were married to during the heyday when they were doing this. Mm-hmm. And it just wrecks your life. I like being like what we do, because we can just say it, and we've got a lot more viewers than we think we have, by the way.
Correct. I'm trying to tell you, correct. And that's the reason why liberal media platforms, especially social media platforms, do everything they can to censor my voice. I don't know about you, but they do everything they can to censor my voice so it can make it look like nobody wants to hear me. Okay. But I do know and have grown to realize that there's more people that's actually listening and paying attention than the evils to be really wants the world to really know and to see. I found out that some of these left-wing media platforms, I'm actually getting more views in the underground than they are on corporate media. Okay. Found that out, but I don't broadcast it or anything like that. I don't just go out and say, I'm being seen more than you. Nope. I just keep on doing. If you want people to think that way, you keep pushing that, because I am of the mind that millions upon millions is looking at me, and they're awakening to the hoopla that you all been trying to sell them. And that's where I stay at.
Well, people want the truth. They're tired of all this stupid stuff. I mean, it's just incredible. But now, again, I'm not talking about just Democrats. I'm talking about some Republicans out there, too, that need to. And folks, at the voting booth, and by the way, you do need to vote midterm, not just the presidential election. You need to do midterm, too. Okay, you need to watch out. You need to see who your city council people are. That's key. I saw that for myself. A town can go to the pits of hell if you've got the wrong city council members in there, if you got the wrong mayor, if you got the wrong governor. Yeah. You got to pay attention.
You're absolutely right, Don. I'm here in North Carolina. President Trump won this particular state, but everybody except one person in the down ticket ballot, all of those seats and different things went to Democrats. So I've been asking a question. How is it that people are going to vote for President Trump and then go down the ticket and just shift it to Democrats? So when you talk about the city council, the mayors, the board of elections, the secretaries, all of these different things, you have to understand that they have a cheating mechanism that's put into place to allow them to cheat. So even though President Trump won the state, our state is governed by liberals. Okay?
That makes no sense.
No sense whatsoever. It is clear as day that it is election fraud that's going on, and that's been happening for a very long time. It's evident. I mean, look, you may have some people out there that's boo-boo the food, Taco Bell, dumb as hell. And no offense against Taco Bell, because I love their empanadas and their beef supreme chalupas. Okay. But you got some people that's out there that want you to feel like and think that you are crazy to believe that that a large number of people is going to vote for Trump and then turn around and say, I want to be governed by these crazy, demonic blue liberals.
That doesn't make any sense. And in your state also, because you've got this liberal governor, but then you had a wonderful conservative lieutenant governor. How can that be? And I'm just going to tell you something. I know Democrats. I've got family members who are dumb Democrats.
Yeah.
They will vote straight ticket Democrat. They would not vote for a crazy liberal governor and then a conservative lieutenant governor.
Right.
That makes no sense.
See, with the lieutenant governor, the way he got in, they wasn't paying attention to him. It was too late by the time he got in, okay? So they allowed him to be in. But when it came down to him now running for governor, they put out this negative. All the way that they did him, it was so disturbing. They try to make this black man look like he was the racist. Now, and calling him all of these different racist names, they used all of these different tactics on him. They demeaned him. They lied on him. And then they put together with the media, they all got together and pushed the same lie. And every other commercial, it was that lie about Mark Robinson here in North Carolina. And I couldn't believe it. I really truly could not believe that they were allowed to do that. I'm glad he sued. I heard that he settled, because that's defamation against him. And I heard that he settled and so forth. But the deal is, he was one that got by them. Okay. And they didn't like that. They didn't want that. So that lets me know, if there's enough people to vote for President Trump for him to be the president and win North Carolina, then there's enough people for the rest of our state to be red, straight up red, not blue.
It doesn't make any sense any other way. Okay. And then they're in the school system. Okay. You got to watch out who the Board of Education folks are. You better know, you better pay attention to that, because not everybody can homeschool. And I had to tell you this, the brightest kids I meet are the homeschooled ones.
Oh, most definitely, because they're not indoctrinated with all of this crap. They're not indoctrinated with all of this liberal ideology. Okay. You have to be careful. And that's how it's been able to be taught to the children. Because who's over the Board of Education? Who's in it? The teachers that is okay with going along with it. All of this different transgender and this identity and who you think you are today, and allowing them to have all of these pronouns and all of this different stuff, and teaching them all of this stupid demonic stuff. To even me, if I was a teacher, I wouldn't be able to be no teacher, because that's all it is. I couldn't do it. They was teaching lies to the children. And I look at my grandson today. I think he's about 11? I think he's 11. I think 10 or 11. But anywho, I look at how whenever he come to grandma's house, and I had him to write this little letter, and it was on lined paper. And I noticed when I read over, his G's was above the line. The little G's is supposed to be the top part, and then it goes below the line. No, the G was above the line. The Y was above the line. So the P was above the line. I said, why are you writing your small letters above the line? This is how you're supposed to write it. I said, they don't teach y'all how to write on lined paper? He said, no, Grandma. Everything is like on computers. I said, so y'all gonna be some dummies walking around here, some true dummies walking around here. People gonna be able to get over on you all. So it's coming down to the point where it's gonna be best to homeschool your children, or you're gonna have to school your children after they get out of school to show them the ropes of things, or they're gonna be taken advantage of.
Yeah, but think about this: the old documents were written in cursive writing.
Right.
They're not going to be able to read that. They're not going to understand the founding documents of this country.
They're not going to be able, because
it's going to look like a bunch of gibberish to them.
The evils that be don't want them to understand. That's why they want to take away the statue, remove history, change Fort Bragg to another name. I'm so glad President Trump changed it back. But they don't want you to know your history, because if you don't know your history, it's doomed to repeat itself. Okay? They don't want you to know what happened back in the day. So when they push that wool over your eyes again, you would think it's something new. You won't know how to wiggle yourself out of it. So you're absolutely right. Cursive writing, I was thinking when I was back in the first grade, the second grade, how you started your A, how you learned it on the little paper and all of that stuff. No, they're not doing that to the kids today. They're teaching them more about SES instead of ABCs. And I'm grateful that President Trump, his team is in so they can root that stuff out. If not, we're going to have a lot of dumb children. And we got a lot of dumb children right now. They don't know they don't know how to think logically. They don't know how, like, okay, if I do this, then it's going to cause that. And I'm like, the way we thought is when we saw something, we thought it all the way out. Where if we move this here, it's going to fall off the table. We need to move that back over here so it won't fall off the table. But choosing right now is like they live on the edge because they don't know how to think logical. They don't know how to see what could happen if they do that. They just do it and say, oops. And I'm like, yeah, we got a bunch of dummies walking around here now.
They can't, they're math in their head. Now, my son is like 46 years old now. Okay. But I remember when he was in school, I got all upset. The teacher thought I was overreacting because he came in from school one day and he said, Mom, I've got to have a calculator. And I said, and for what?
For
and
what?
He said, and I said, no, you just want a calculator. That's cheating. Because back when I went to school, this is back in the 70s now. Okay. Texas Instrument, Radio Shack, they were selling these calculators. I wanted one. Well, first of all, my dad said, no, you need to learn to think with your needle right here. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not getting a calculator.
Your calculator is up here. Go ahead.
Then the teacher said, if I find a calculator, you're out of school. Okay. You're going to be expelled. If anybody brings a calculator, you're expelled. Like that. That's how serious it was when I went to school. But now I can think in my head 2 + 2 is 4. I don't need a calculator for that.
Right.
So for my son, I said, well, I'm calling the teacher. And I thought, if he's lying to me, he'll start wiggling around just a little bit and go, no, I'm just joking. No, and he just sits there and watches me call her. So I called her and I said, Brad tells me he has to have a calculator in math. And she said, yes, he does. And I said, that's cheating. Well, that's when I took him out and put him in private school.
Yeah.
Because my son's going to know how to think with his head.
That's the deal. They don't want the children. They don't even want the adults thinking with their head. That's why they have these cell phones. Yeah. To keep you right there. They got calculators on the phones too. They want you to be able to go to one place to get your information. And that's so that they can push the narrative they want you to know. They don't want you to be able to have accessibility to be able to educate yourself and to think for yourself. Especially being a lifelong Democrat back in the day, even though we had our own mind, we had to have somebody else think for us, especially as a Black woman and within a Black community. Donna, let me just explain this to you. It always had to be somebody that was considered a leader, and you had to follow the leader. You had to do what the leader said. And when my sister and I had that great awakening where, okay, wait a minute, we're entrepreneurs. We see under Democrats, we're paying more taxes versus under a Republican. And we got to have that great awakening to think outside of that little miniature box that they wanted to keep everybody confined in. Once we started thinking outside of that and seeing things from a different perspective, they got mad at us. Because how you all get out here? Who are you all to think for yourselves and think that it's okay for you to think for yourself? They did not like it. So they try to tear us down at every end. Anything we went to do, they try to tear it down. And that's what's been going on in our country. That's why when you look at Hollywood, when you look at a lot of these, what they call influencers now, they're on this liberal platform, this liberal, oh God, it's so demonic with what they're on. I can't even look at a good movie now without seeing all of this woke stuff in it. And they keep it there before you. A lot of the actors and actresses, I could tell who don't want to be a part of it, because what? They let them go. Mm-hmm. A lot of them is doing underground acting versus the ones that's okay with going along with that woke stuff.
That's what we're doing. We're doing the underground interviewing.
Right.
But you know what? I think the whole thing backfires, because I mean, it's like when you see one movie star, you see another one. They're all the same. It's like they're cookie cutter. Yeah. But when I talk about the people who are underground, who are doing it the right way, they're unique. Look at you. So you're unique. You're not a cookie cutter design. I mean, why would I watch you if you're just like everybody else?
Exactly. Exactly. You know, even with the network that I'm on, Lindell TV, I love Lindell TV. Everybody have their own style of programming. But I heard somebody tell me that yours is a lot different. It's a lot different because I'm not just coming here just reporting what happened. I'm telling y'all, giving y'all my opinion about what I feel about what happened and why it happened. I'm giving you a little bit something else, something different. And I told him, I said, I'm not the one that's coming here, okay, in the news today, bam, 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 bam. No, we're going to have a conversation about it. Like I told my audience last night, I'm going to educate you so you will be able to clap back. Because a lot of times people ask people questions and they don't have a response for it. Okay. When you do that to a liberal, the first thing they're going to want to do is cuss you out, tell you your hair is a wig, or you have on false eyelashes and drawn on eyebrows. But for the conservatives, whenever you're asked a question about something, you need to be able to clap back. You need to be able to know how to respond back to the lies that's been spewed out there. And that's what my show is all about. Giving you something so that you can say, I never thought about it that way. And it's different, it's unique. And that's what I love. I love to be in this space that I'm in versus being controlled by money or controlled by somebody that's saying, if you don't say it this way, I'm going to take everything from you. And that's where a lot of people find themselves.
Yeah, but this is the thing about making the money. When you make the money, you got to spend the money to be in the status. And I'll give you an example of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was working for it's like the world's largest cosmetic company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They are in the Donald Trump building, or one of his buildings. They're huge. And I was working for them in a management type program. Well, they wanting to give me a job. Now, this is back in the 1980s.
Okay.
It would have been a good job. I would have been making a whole lot of money. I really would. But then I got to thinking, wait a minute, I got a teenage son. Do I want to raise him in New York City? I mean, I've got hard enough as it is in a small town. But in New York City, I don't know about that. Mm-hmm. Then I got to thinking about it. So God gave me new brains and we use them. Okay, so then I got to thinking about it. Would I really been making that much money? Because then I started, because, cost of living, for God's sakes, back in that day, a studio apartment was several $1,000s.
Mm-hmm.
Half of my money. I would never, you're not doing anything if you're spending it. Then you've got the status. You got to wear the clothes.
Yeah.
You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to try to be cookie cutter and look like everybody else. And I didn't do it. All of my friends thought I was so stupid because I didn't take that job.
Well, but see, if for me, I don't like to be owned by nobody. I just don't like that. I like being my own unique self.
I like freedom.
And that's the bottom line. I like my freedom. And if it means that I have to come over here and make just a little to have a peace of mind, then so be it.
Well, I'm going to take something else I almost did, HGTV. You know what it's full of. So, in Cooking Channel. So the Cooking Channel is what I'm talking about. So they were going to have this contest. And I love to cook now. I'm just telling you, you got to come down to my house. I'll cook you some good food.
All right.
I bet you are too. So anyway, I told Phil, I said, I'm going to try out for that cooking show. But then I looked at the application and it seemed like they were just wanting bodies because what it seemed like is the person who's confused with their sex would be the one who'd get it.
Right.
Okay, so I didn't see the point in wasting time. And so I talked with Phil about it, and I said, I'm trying not to do it. And he said, why? And I said, well, look at the application here. To me, it looks like I'd just be a body there. They need so many full bodies that are going to, like I would be glad that this person who's confused about their identity would win. I would think you need to go somewhere and get some mental help. Speaking of mental help, I got to tell you one other thing. You're going to get a kick out of this. The little town, Albertville, Alabama, I was telling you about. They had kids going to school there who were confused and thought they were cats. They even put potty boxes.
Litter boxes. So nasty.
It's insanity. We got to save the kids. We've got to. And that means parents, you're going to have to be frank. You're going to have to be honest. You're going to have to spend a little bit of time with these kids and find out what's going on in their heads and not be afraid of them. It's not like a sitcom where the kid is smart and the parents are stupid. Don't fall for that sitcom.
That's right. Because see, I remember back in the day when little boys thought they could be Superman and they jumped from certain things up high and they broke their legs. They got to know that you can only be yourself. Okay, you can't be no cat. There's no way that you can do that. Men don't get pregnant. They got to know the lies, and it's up to the parents to parent the child and let them know right from wrong. And that's another thing too, Donna, that's been missing from the equation, parenting. Because you got a lot of the parents that's out there cuckoo for Cocoa Puff as well, mentally ill and going along with this foolery. Okay. So it's time for the parents to step up and start parenting their children.
Absolutely. We're going to have to go. I can't believe the show is already over. Okay, now a couple of minutes. So tell folks how they can find your merchandise. I like the Trump fan.
Let me say this right here. The Diamond and Silk bobblehead memorabilia, all right? Mm-hmm. I'm giving it to you for $10 at diamondandsilkstore.com. This is to celebrate Diamond and Silk 10 years. Diamond and Silk's 10-year anniversary. All right. It's been 10 years. So make sure you get the Diamond and Silk bobblehead memorabilia at diamondandsilkstore.com. The Trump lean pins are also there. The Diamond and Silk signature pins are also there, and so much more. But I want people to be part of history. This is part of history right here. And I want you to be part of history. I want part of this history in your living room, in your dining room. Let Diamond and Silk sit right there, because you got to remember that we were two black chicks who were down with politics, baby, and we didn't have a problem with calling a spade a spade. So $10 to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. And also, Donna, I want to also say to the audience that I'm in a movie called Pardon Me. The Beverly B. Williams story is due to come out, be released into theaters on August the 15th. I want everybody to go and see this amazing movie. And to see the trailer, you can go to pardonmethemovie.com. That's pardonmethemovie.com to go see the trailers, share the trailers, and let everybody know this is one of the movies that you want to see. It's a feel-good movie. It is faith-based, and it's about a young lady who was pardoned by President Donald J. Trump. So the name of the movie, once again, is Pardon Me, the movie, okay? The Beverly B. Williams stories, and you can go to pardonmethemovie.com.
I'm so proud. If you'll send Phil the trailer, we'll go ahead and put it on my show, if that's okay.
Incredible. I'll get it over to you, or have them to get it over to you.
Thanks, girl. And thank you guys so much for being with us today. And thank you so much, Silk, for being on the show with me as always.
God bless.
Bye-bye.